Hello all, welcome to another episode of Dagic, Magic, the Universe, and Everything. Episode of Will I Put It in My Deck? I'm your host here for this, Jeremy Hayes. Today we're going to be talking about my Atraxa Preators Voice Superfriends deck. It did not start off as an Atraxa deck. It started off as, it's actually good story. I tried 5 colors for so long. And finally picked Atraxa, and of course, obviously, it's the best one for that strategy, best commander for that strategy, and so it's just stuck. And I realized there were 6, maybe 5 red cards in the deck, and so I was like, I can take those out and survive without red, as I've done with most of my decks. But today's a shorter video, only 2 cards here. So it's real fast here. One issue with Planeswalker decks, right, Superfriends decks, is that they keep getting attacked. I mean, the correct answer is to attack a Planeswalker, right? If it's sitting there, nobody's blocking it, the correct answer is to attack that Planeswalker. So how do you get them to survive? How do you get them, your Planeswalkers, to survive? How do you get to ultimate them? Well, one way is with this first cool card, from Modern Horizons 3, again, Dreamtide Whale. Dreamtide Whale is a 2 and a blue whale, vanishing 2. And whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, proliferate. Oh, and it's a 7/5. So in an Atraxa Preators Voice deck, in any Atraxa Preators Voice deck, right, you're going to be able to proliferate that vanishing counter at end of turn pretty easily. So it should never go away. And if you have your walkers out, your super friends out, this rope should be proliferating cards, right? Or not cards, counters. You know, your opponents, if they play around it and only cast 1 spell a turn, that's pretty fantastic. You've just, and this is acting as a rule of law effect. But not for you, because you're going to cast 2 spells and then proliferate, because it only says a player. Likewise, it's a 7/5, so it's a decent blocker. They're not going to block or attack you with they shouldn't be attacking you with their little, 2 2s and 3 3s to get in there for chip damage, or a 3/3 could kill a walker. When you got this thing out. And if they remove this, great. That is one less removable spell for Atraxa. So this is almost all upside. There is something to be said for the cards that rely on your opponents doing things in order to be good, because they can just play around it. But again, if all your opponents just decide to play 1 spell a turn, I see that as upside rather than downside. And if they do play the second spell a turn, you get to proliferate. So this could find a spot. I was looking through the deck. And I was looking at the one Ascendancy card, the Bant Ascendancy card, where at the end from Streets of New Capenna, Broker's Ascendancy. So that's Bant for an enchantment that says at the end of your turn, or beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control and a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. So it's effectively a small Atraxa. You're only getting 1 counter at the end of the turn. This one, and that's the floor and the ceiling of the card, right? Like, it doesn't. That's what it does, which is why it's good, because you know what it's going to do every turn. This card's ceiling is you proliferate 4 times the rotation, and that's a game you're going to win. They don't play around this like with Mystic Study. You're gonna win that game, right? You're gonna Mystic Studies. They don't pay the 1. You draw all these cards, fantastic. But Dreamtide Whale, if they play all these cards, you get to proliferate all these times, once per opponent turn, right? But 4 times in a rotation if you include yourself, you're gonna be ultimating Planeswalkers on the next rotation, right? Anything that messes with the math on a Planeswalker, where you don't actually have 3 turns until I can ultimate this, you have 1, is good. So I might try this guy out. It's the same mana cost as Broker's Ascendancy. Again, it acts as that blocker with with Atraxa out. It shouldn't ever go away. And if it does, that does suck. Like, you don't want to, like, if this thing vanishes, I think that'd feel really bad, right? For just to go away, especially if your opponents just sit there and go, okay, let's cast one spell a turn, right? You cast your Atraxa on turn 4, they counter it. Now it's a vanishing one. It's gone the next turn. Nobody played anything, right? So that's not great. So hopefully you have Atraxa out. Hopefully you have other ways to proliferate as well in the deck to keep this thing around, which is kind of a downside, but it's worth trying out to see. Because again, if you play this thing, and one rotation of the table later, you're ultimating 2-3 planeswalkers, 2, even 1, depending on the walker. It doesn't matter. This thing's going to disappear next turn. That's what you wanted to do, right? So our next card, and the last card of this episode, is actually a Assassin's Creed card. Palazzo Archers. The 2 and a green. It's a 2/3 with reach. So it's a decent blocker. Not terrible. But it says whenever a creature flying attacks you... Oh, I just read that card. I did not read the whole card. So whenever a creature with flying attacks you or a planeswalker you control, Palazzo Archers deals damage equal to its power to that creature. So that makes sense. Archers usually match with flyers. When I first read this card and stuck it on the list here, I just read it whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, which would have been great because you deal the damage on attack, not later. So you would be able to kill a creature that's attacking you. It automatically stops. It would have automatically stopped all 2/2s from chip damaging your planeswalkers, because it just kills them right away. But it says with flying, so that's never very good. Flyers are always fantastic. You should never discount the flyers, but not too many people are playing. It's not worth playing just to stop the flyers. Atraxa is a flyer. She can stop the flyers. She does a very good job at stopping the flyers. So this is a no after reading those, fully reading the card and not skipping over those 2 words with flying right there. It's a cool card though. And after this video, we should be getting into some Assassin's Creed cards since they are being spoiled. This is our first one that I just did not read the whole way through. But yeah, so that's a no. That's a hard no. Dreamtide Whale is a yes. I want to try it. It seems cool. I like the 7/5 blocker. It's a meaty meat that just stops attackers. So that's Atraxa's Preators Voice for will I put it in my deck. We got 1 yes and 1 hard no because, again, I got to read. You should always read the card. Always read the whole card. But that's it. Shorter one today, just the 2. Like and subscribe. Add in the comments cards that you didn't read the whole way through and thought were really good until you put them in the deck and played them and then read them and and they didn't do what you thought they did. Yeah, so join us next time for Will I Put It in My Deck, and thanks, appreciate it.